Welcome to the course Programming Language Concept. In today's lecture, we are going to talk about selection control structure. As we have discussed in previous lecture that we have three control structure. Number one, the sequence control structure, second selection control structure, third repetition control structure. We also talked about selection control structure in quite detail in previous lecture, and we discussed two types of selection control structure. One of them was if statement, which is the simplest among them, and then we also talked about the if else structure. And in today's lecture, we're going to talk about the nested if else structure. We're going to look at the syntax, and then we're going to look at the logical operators and if else if ladder. Now these are the references. You can find these topics and how to program chapter number 2 by detail in detail. Robert Lefort, Object-Oriented Programming, chapter number 3. These are the objectives. Obviously, the objective of this chapter is to introduce you to the idea of the selection control structure. And the outcomes of this lecture is basically you will be able to understand and analyze nested if-else structure. You would be able to understand and analyze logical operators, and you would be able to understand, learn and analyze nested if-else if ladder. And then you can apply these different structure for different or for variety of problems. Remember students that we used if statement in last lecture, and then basically if statement is used for one-way decision. Okay, if the condition is true, a statement will be executed, otherwise nothing will be displayed on the screen. Similarly, if we have a two-way decision, then we can use if else structure. If else structure says that if the condition is true, okay, some statement will be executed. If the condition is false, then the other part of the program or other statements will be executed. So now what is if-else, a nested if-else structure? It is basically a structure that provides the decision to be made based on different or based on many conditions. So let's look at the nested if-else structure. Now the simple if-else statement allows a choice to be made between two possible alternatives. As I told you that if condition is true, some statements will be executed. If the condition is false, then the other statements will be executed. But sometimes what happens is that a choice must be made between more than two possibilities. Okay, if there are more than two possibilities, then we can use the nested if-else structure. It is just like, for example, you have some pocket money and you want to choose a particular restaurant. So there are multiple restaurants in the city. Based on your pocket money, then you can decide that which particular restaurant you are going to choose for having dinner or for having lunch. Now, in that scenario, we can also implement the similar scenario in programming language. If there are many choices and then we have to select one choices among many, then we can go for the nested if-else structure. Similarly, before taking admission in computer science, you might have thought that which program you should select. There are multiple programs. For example, there is BBA, there is engineering, there is medical, there is different other, but you choose computer science because you have basically this was in your mind that you are going to take admission in computer science. So out of many choices, you select one. Now, but sometime a choice must be made between two or more than two possibilities. Then the nested if-else statement will be used. Now, if can be nested inside the else part and vice versa. Okay, so like the other way around, you can put like as mentioned in the point here, that if can be nested inside the else part. For example, we have if else. So inside the if else we can nest another if. Okay, or we can nest one if inside the other if. We will look at the program and then you would understand this point. No limit that how deeper you nest the if else statements. There is no limit. If you have multiple choices, then you can go to unlimited if else statements. It is perfectly nested if else structure continues. It is perfectly all right if we write an entire if else construct within either the body of the if statement or the body of an else statement. As I told you that you can put entire if else statement in either the if block or in else block. Now this is called nesting of if. So when an if else statement is written within an if statement, it is called as nesting of if else. In nested structure, the control enter into the inner if only when the outer condition is true. Remember, if we have used the first if and the first if is false, okay, then the control will not enter into the if on the body of the if, but rather it would directly jump to the else part, and whatever statements are there, that will be executed. So in else, in nested structure, the control enter into the inner if only when the outer condition is true. We will look at the outer condition, we will look at the inner condition, and many other things when we are discussing the syntax. Only one block of statement is executed and the remaining blocks are ignored automatically. Now this is the syntax. Students, look at this point here, that if this condition is true, this statement will be executed. Statement 1 will be executed. Otherwise, if this condition is false, control will automatically comes to the else part. Now in else part, I have used a block statement, okay. Then this statement will be, this condition will be checked, okay. If this condition is true, this statement will be executed. Otherwise, this statement will be executed and program will be terminated. There is the other way of writing this, the same nested if else. So we can write nested if else this way as well. If this condition is true, control will transfer and will check this condition, okay. If this condition is true, this statement will be executed. Otherwise, if the inner condition is false, the control will transfer to the else part of the inner if, and this statement will be executed. Fine. This is called as the outer if, okay, and this is called as outer else, while this is called inner if and this is called inner else, okay. So if this condition is false, then control will not execute these statements, but rather control will directly jump to else part, and whatever is written here, that will be executed. You can even put one if else construct here, or one if else or many if else construct here in this outer else part of the syntax. So let's try to write a simple program, and then we'll understand this more easily. So let's try to include the header files first. #include iostream, and then using namespace std, we have main. Okay, so let's try to declare a variable, okay, and then enter any number. A statement should be printed on the screen after executing this particular statement, okay, and then cn, and we're going to take input from the user. So first of all, we are going to look at this condition. If n is equal to 1, then this statement should be executed. Cout n equal to n. Okay, now if this condition is true, if the value of n is equal to 1, then the control will transfer to this statement will be executed. Otherwise, control will transfer to the else part, and here inside the else part, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to nest another, or I'm trying to write another if else construct in the else part of this if. So if n that's equal to 2, the statement n equal to n will be executed, otherwise else part will be executed. Else wrong value is entered. So this is how this nested if else work. Now you can see that I have nested this one if else construct inside another else, inside the outer else. So let's try to run this program, and before running this program, let's try to save this program by name 21. Okay, so now you can see the output here. For example, if I enter 1, now what happens? 1 will be stored in n, so the condition will be true. If 1 equal to 1, this condition is true, it means this statement will be executed. Okay, so n equal to n, this statement will be executed, the value of n will be printed on the screen. Similarly, let's try to run this program and look at the other ways of the output. If I enter 2, now 2 will be stored in n because this condition will be false. 2 is not equal to 1, that's why this statement is not going to be executed. The control will transfer to the else part, okay, and then this condition will be checked here, the condition will be matched, okay, and this statement will be executed. So let's try to press enter. Now you can see n equal to 2. This statement has been executed and it is printed on the screen. So now let's try to run the program for one more time and look at the result on the other values. Okay, let's try to enter 3. Now because there is no condition for 3, that's why this statement will be executed. First of all, 3 is going to be stored in n, and then this condition will be checked. 3 is equal to 1. Now this condition is false, that's why the control will transfer to the else part. In else part I have used another condition. If because in n we have 3, so it's going to compare these 3 equal to 2. Again the condition is not equal to 2, it means the condition is false, so this statement will not be executed. The control will transfer to the else part, and this part will be, this statement will be executed. Wrong value is entered. You can see the output is what? Wrong value is entered. Fine. So let's try to run another program, write another program using the same nested if else. Assume that we are going to compare 3 values a, b and c. Fine. So let's try to print message. Okay, please input values in a, b and c. We're going to use all these 3 different variables, and we're going to take input at once for all these different variables. A, C. Now we will input some values in A variable, in B variable, also in C variable. Now let's try to put some nested if else structure, or let's try to write the nested if else structure. So if A is greater than B, now what we are going to do, we are going to compare these different values. Okay, whatever value is entered here in variables A, B and C, that is going to be compared, and then whatever the value is greater, that will be printed on the screen. So the first condition is if A greater than B. Okay, now here what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to put this thing if, another if inside this outer if. So this is called as the inner if. This is inner if and this is the outer if. Okay, look at this. This is called The distance, this distance is called the indentation. You can look at the distance of this if and this if. This is called basically the indentation. Here, when you add the if statement or any if else structure, the level of indentation increases. Okay, so you have to care about these things. If A greater than C, okay, what happens? I need to print this thing. Uh, Maximum, or yes, that would be better. Maximum value is equal to whatever value. Let's suppose A, okay, and then C out maximum value is equal to C. The outer else, in the outer else, I'm also going to write another if condition. If B greater than C, okay, then C out maximum value is equal to B. The value of B will be printed. Else C out maximum value is equal to C. So this is our program. Our program is completed. Now this is actually the outer if. This is the outer else. Now inside this outer else, inside the block of outer else, you can see this is the block of outer if. I have used another if else structure, okay? And similarly, inside the outer else, inside the block of outer else, I have, this is the block of outer else, okay? I have used another if else construct, okay? Or another if else structure. So let's try to understand this program. First of all, I have declared 3 variables, okay? This message will be printed on the screen, okay? User will provide values, okay, and then value will be stored in A, B, and C variable. Similarly, if A greater than B, okay, this is a condition. If the value of A is greater than B, so if this condition is true, the control will transfer to this condition. It will check this condition. If the value of A is greater than C, in that case, this statement will be executed. That maximum value is A. Fine. So if this is true, if the outer condition is true, the inner condition, if condition is false, then the control will transfer to the else part of the inner if, and this statement will be executed. Okay, what happens is that if this outer condition is false, okay, so the control will transfer to the else part, okay, and then this condition will be checked, B greater than C. So if this condition is true, this statement will be executed. Otherwise, if the inner if condition is false, the control will transfer to the else part of the inner if, and this statement will be executed. So this is how things are working here. So let's try to run this program and see the result. Now, first of all, we are going to input value in A, then we are going to input value in B. Okay, in A I stored 10, B 5, and C 3. So what happens? 10 will be, this statement will be executed. Let me show you the statement, okay? This statement will be executed because first of all, it's going to compare A with B. Now 10 is greater than B, it means condition is true. Similarly, after this inner if will check the condition A greater than C, because in A I have stored 10, in C I have stored 3. So that's why this statement will be executed. Maximum value is the value of a will be printed. Okay, you can see the value of a is what? That is 10. So let's try to run the program for other values. Okay, now suppose there is 10, okay, 20 in B and 5 in C. Now look at this this way. The program basically 10 is stored in A, 20 in B and 5 in C. So first of all, this condition will be checked, A greater than B. You can see A is not greater than B, so none of these statements will be executed. The control will transfer directly to the else part. Now in the else part, you can see I have again used if condition. It's going to compare B with C. Now in B I have stored 20, and C I have stored 5. That's why this condition is true, so this statement will be executed. Maximum value is equal to B. Let's try to run this program again, and this time we are going to go for the value of C. So first of all, again let's look at the example here. If this condition will be checked, A greater than B. Now A is not greater than B, that's why none of these statements will be executed, because the outer if is false. That's why the control will transfer to this part. Okay, now in this part the program is going to compare B with C. So B has got 20 and C has got 30. Now in this case, this condition is false. This statement will not be executed. The control will transfer to this part and this will be executed. So this is how things are working. Now if you look at the output, you can see the output is 30. Okay, this program, the first program that I wrote, is basically the explanation is here. Note that the second if-else construct is nested in the first if-else statement. Here, this is the else, okay, and this is the if-else construct. So this if-else is basically nested in else part of the program. If the condition in the if statement is false, then the condition in the second if statement is checked. Okay, here if this condition is false, then the control will transfer and this condition will be checked. If it is false as well, then the final else statement is executed. If this condition is also false, okay, so this final else will be executed. You can see in the program how each time an if-else construct is nested within another if-else construct. It is also intended to add clarity to the program. We have talked about the indentation. So here you have to take care about the indentation because it provides space in the, it provides clarity in the program. In the above program, if-else occurs within the else block of the first if statement. In the above program, an if-else occurs within the else block of the first if statement. This is what we are talking about. In the else part, we have nested another if-else construct. Similarly, in some other programs, an if-else may occur in the if block as well. So you can also put the in if part another if-else like we did in the second program. So drawbacks. Now what are the drawbacks of this nested if-else? Number one drawback is the number of conditions go on increasing. The level of indentation also goes on increasing. As a result, the whole program creeps to the right. If you go back here to this program, for example, here you have used, let me write this, okay. Let me, for example, A, okay. And if you look at this if, okay, you put some condition, fine. And similarly, now look at this indentation. Indentation is increasing. If, okay, any particular condition, again the indentation level will be increased here. Now you can look at the indentation level. The space from this side to this side is increasing, okay. Even if you put another if statement, the indentation level will be increased. Okay, so similarly, if you put another if, okay, the indentation level is increasing. You can see the space here is smaller as compared to this. So as you put more if statement, the level of indentation will increase, and you can see the program basically moves toward the right. Okay, this is the right and this is the left. So this is the main problem here in nested if else. Care needs to be exercised while putting the corresponding else part for an if part. Whenever you are writing program, you always have to take care about this thing. You have to take care about the if part and about the else part. You have to put else part for each if part. Similarly, care needs to be exercised while putting the corresponding closing bracket for an opening bracket. You have to take care about the opening, about this closing bracket and opening bracket each time. Care needs to be exercised uh, for the level of indentation. You always have to take care about the indentation. Now, alternative to remove the drawbacks of nested if else, we either use logical operators or switch statement. Now, we will talk about switch statement in next class. So switch statement is also a flow control structure which allow the user to select a statement or block of statement amongst a number of available alternatives. We will talk about this in next class because we're going to look at this first alternative solution. Okay, before this providing solution, let's look at the logical operators. Now, in previous lecture, we learned about the arithmetic operators, we learned about relational operators. These are the new operators for you guys, and this is called as the logical operators. Now, the following operators are used for logical decision and will often combine two or more conditions. So the main purpose here is that when we combine two or more than two conditions, we can use these logical operators. This is AND operator, this is called the logical OR operator, and this is called logical NOT operator. Remember students, you always have to put pair of this AND operator, okay? For example, you cannot use this single, okay? There has to be a pair of it, and similarly this and this. So now let's try to see each of these separately. All the conditions must be true. If you are using AND operator, okay, all the condition must be true to show the result. For example, condition 1 is true, condition 2 is also true, so the result will be true. If condition 1 is true, the condition 2 is false, then the result will also be false. If condition 1 is false, condition 2 is true, again the result will be false. If condition 1 is false, condition 2 is false, so the result will also be false. We will look at the program and then you will understand quite better. So OR operator, now another logical operator is OR operator. Only one of the conditions must be true to show the result. Now here, if condition 1 is true and condition 2 is true, the main thing here is that if there are two conditions, so out of these two conditions, one condition must be true if you want the result to be true, okay? So if this is true and this is true, the result will also be true. If condition 1 is true, condition 2 is false, the result will be true. Condition 1 false, condition 2 true, the result will be true. It will only gives false result on if both condition 1 and condition 2 is false. The NOT operator is used to reverse the result of the condition. So again, a very tricky sort of operator, logical operator, is the NOT operator. If the condition is true, NOT will make it false, and if the condition is false, NOT will make it true. So condition true and false, or condition false, if the condition is false, the result will be true. We will look at program and we will write program and then you would understand it better. So we have learned how these two different condition, how these three different logical operators work. Okay, so let's try to use them, but before using them, let's try to work on if else if ladder. Again, this is another selection control structure. Okay, so if else if ladder construct can be used to choose one block of statement from many blocks of statement. Again, you can use this if else if ladder instead of the nested if else that we discussed in a while ago. It is used when there are many options and only one block of statement should be executed based on the condition. Now, this is how we can write this if else if ladder. First condition will be checked, the statement will be executed, and then if this is true, this will be executed. If this is not true, this part will be executed. In this part, I have used another condition. So if this condition is true, only this statement will be executed. If this condition is false, control will transfer here and check this condition. If this condition is true, so this condition will be, this statement will be executed. Okay, if none of these condition is true, the else part will be executed. So this is the flow chart. Okay, suppose this is the condition. Okay, if this condition is true, okay, this statement will be executed and the program will be terminated. If this condition is false, control will transfer to this condition, check this condition, and if this condition is true, the statement will be executed and it will transfer to the program will be terminated. And if this condition is false, this condition will be checked. Okay, so again, if this is true, this statement will be executed and the program will be terminated. If none of these condition is true, so at the end we will have a statement. That statement will be executed and the program will be terminated. Now let's try to write a simple program using this nested if else if ladder. So basically what we are going to do is a very simple program. The program has been written here. Write a program in C++ that accept marks of student and one subject as input using nested if else and calculate that whether the student is pass or fail and also show its grade. So we are going to show the grade as well. Enter student marks. Okay, a message will be printed. Now we are going to use cn marks if marks is greater than or equal to 90. Remember that we are going to use logical operator here. Find logical AND operator. You have to put it in pair. You don't need to use, or if you use a single this operator, then it will give you error because it has its own meaning in programming. So better to use pair of these symbols. If marks greater than 90 and marks less than or equal to 100, okay, we need to print the grade. Grade what? Grade A. Okay. Else if, see, there is no problem of indentation. Okay, you don't care about the indentation level here. If marks greater than 80 and marks less than or equal to 89, okay, so grade B, student will be placed in grade B. Else if marks greater than or equal to 70 and marks less than or equal to 79, see out grade C. Else if marks greater than or equal to 60 and marks less than or equal to 69. Cout grade D. And if none of these condition is true, okay, so execute this statement. Else grade C, sorry, grade F. Okay, you can put spaces for the readability. Okay, but let's try to remove these spaces. Okay, because I want to show you, I want to trace the program statements as well. Okay, marks was not declared in this scope. Int mark, okay, it should be marks. So let's try to run this program and look at the result. Now here I have declared marks, okay, and this is the statement. It will take input from the user, okay. If marks is between 90 and 100, this statement will be executed. Otherwise, let's try to run this program, and we put this 94. So marks is in between 90 and 100. That's why grade A will be printed on the screen. You can see grade A. Similarly, let's try to run the program for other options. Okay, this time we are going to put 80. Now 80, it means this first of all, program will check this if condition. Now in the marks we have 80, so 80 is greater than or equal to 90. This condition is false, okay, and this condition is true. 80 is less than or equal to 100. So we studied that for AND operator, both these conditions must be true. That's why it will give you true result. Clear? In this case, one result, one condition is false and one is true. So that's why this will make the entire condition as false, and this will not actually make this statement executed. The control will transfer to the else part. Okay, in the else part you can see I have 80. So 80 greater than or equal to 80. This condition is true, and so is this condition, because 80 is less than 89. Okay, that's why this statement will be executed. You can see grade B is executed because this condition gives you true result. Let's look at the other examples. For example, this time we input 71. Okay, now first of all, it's going to check this condition. 71 is greater than or equal to 90. This condition is false, but this condition is true. Okay, so one is true, one is true, one is false. That's why this will give us false result, because for AND operator, for logical AND operator, both condition must be true. That's why this will give us the false result. This statement will not be executed. Control will transfer to this else, and this if will be executed. 71 is greater than or equal to 89. This is false, okay, because 71 is less than 80. But this condition is true. That's why it will give us false result, because for AND operator, both the condition must be true. That's why the statement will not be executed. The control will transfer to this statement. Here marks, in marks I have 71, 71 greater than or equal to 70. It means condition is true. This condition is also true, so grade C will be printed. And similarly, the other statement will also be printed. Let's suppose we input 10, okay, and now see what happens. Okay, so if you go back here, 10 grade F, because it will compare this 10 with here. This condition is false, this is false, this is false, and this is false. All the condition is false, so automatically the control will transfer to this else part, and this statement will be executed. So thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture and studied the lecture.